Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here. And just one favor, if I exceed my assigned time, just give me a softer sign, because before it was kind of a bit too brutal. No, I understand maybe following groups like Volkswagen and Pirelli, our group is maybe not so well known, especially as a brand name for the customers. We're a group that is in the fashion industry, in the textile production, and the garment production. And we are a vertically integrated group. And today I will speak of the less fashionable side of the business. We're very much on the shops, on the retail side, with various brands for ladies, especially Caractère, Elena Miro, and so forth. But today I'll talk about the upstream part of our business, that is the manufacturing side, the textile printing side of our business, because I think that is the one more questionable in terms of sustainability. The fact that we wear garments and that we like them to be nicely finished and colored and printed is something that goes back a long time and has been going on for some time, but very few people have given thought to the sustainability of this kind of business. As you probably know, most textile printing plants are located close to rivers, and that is not just by accident. It's because the river is an essential part of the disposal process that has been carried out so far over the centuries. Obviously, as a textile printing company and a garment producer, we face some severe challenges over the last years, especially when, back in 1980s, the whole phenomenon of the low-cost country production base came about. So, like many other players, we were under some challenge in terms of cost structure because of that competition that came from the Far East, especially. What we found out, actually, especially working with third parties, that is always something that can give you a clearer picture of the challenges, is that we needed to maintain our distinctiveness. We could probably not compete immediately on the cost position, but we could compete on the fact that we were close to many customers, especially in terms of the fast fashion business that is primarily based in Europe, and that we could add some distinctiveness. And basically, we decided some time ago that being sustainable, environmentally friendly as possible, was one of the challenges we wanted to face together, obviously, with the quality and the timing of our production. So that's what drove our change. We started in the industrial part, and this has contaminated the whole company, as a matter of fact. So what is the challenge, just to give you a little bit of history? When you start thinking environmentally sustainable, you're obviously faced with some tough choices, because normally what is environmentally sustainable is either more costly or less efficient. I mean, if you think about, biological food, it's normally more expensive than, your off-the-counter food. If you think about, biologically friendly detergents, they are normally not as effective as, the chemically produced ones. Or if you think even about molecular pigments, their fastness is not so solid as the chemical ones. So why should you go that way? I mean, it seems like, a battle that has just one final end, that is, you'll lose to competition because everything will be cheaper and more effective. As a matter of fact, as I said, you face normally excessive cost or reduced benefits when you choose that path. But as I said, what we did is to think carefully ahead and to think that this probably would become one of the distinctive features that many of our customers would definitely require in their production. Together, we serve many of our competitors as well as ourselves, obviously, and many have become certified by environmental agencies or by audits, in any case, that require a full tracking of their production flow and, the fact that obviously the materials used and the processes used are not damaging in the environment. So what has happened is we have invested. And if any of you know how textile printing was done traditionally, and in many countries it's still carried out this way, it's by dipping a hollow cylinder into paint and just passing the print garment through these cylinders. So this is a very costly, very pollution-heavy process, and very heavy in terms of investments and changing time and pattern is not obviously a very easy task to perform, given the size of the machines and the kind of process that is entailed. So what we decided some years ago is to move first front to the digital technology, to single-pass digital technology. And this just gives you an idea. I don't want to go into the details, but the two lines give you an idea of the shift of our production from traditional printing to digital printing. The great thing about digital printing, the bad thing, let me say the bad thing, is that obviously these were expensive investments to begin with. So I will not mention too much about how much money we had to invest up front to perform this change. But it's been a significant investment, especially in tough times where the textile industry in Europe was not going very well at all. But as you can see, today we've had a dramatic shift from traditional printing to digital printing. The great thing about digital printing is that it's customizable. It doesn't matter how much garment you have to print. You're not confined by minimum amounts. You can print small amounts, you can change pattern, you can customize. And just to give you in one phrase, you can adapt the print to the garment and not vice versa. Before, the garment was limited by the printing. You could not change sizes of a garment with the same print without having to change the whole pattern. Now you can adapt the print. You can print, just to give an idea, a star on a garment and print it depending on the size of the garment directly from the printing machine. So I think this is just an idea of how customizable things are. Obviously, you don't have minimum quantities anymore. You can, adapt, your garment and your fitting in terms of size, in terms of fit, and in terms of design. So I think the advantages are pretty clear from a commercial point of view. Obviously, you need still to amortize some of those investments made on the equipment. On the other side, and I think this is great, you can work on patches. You don't need to work on big amounts of textile, of garment, of fabric. You can work on a patch, you can design it, you can change it, and you can change without having to stop the machine. So you can just change while the machine is in process. But I think, this is in a way secondary given the theme of the day. What is important is the consumption of resources that this process entails. This is how our consumption of water, just to give you an idea, when you wear a cotton fabric, from the crop to the end product, each kilo of cotton requires 10,000 liters of water. That's the ratio, from the cultivation to the end product. That's cotton. So cotton today is one of the biggest drains of water in the whole world. And, making sure that at least on the production process, you can save water and energy is quite relevant. This is just to give you some actual figures. Before we started investing, we used to treat in a traditional way. So we didn't just throw the water, obviously, in the rivers, but we had wastewater treatment plants, like you can see. And just to give you an idea of the cost, we were treating about 2 million cubic meters of water every year, and this was costing us about 2.5 million euros. Today, we're down to less than half, and next year, we'll be down to less than a quarter in terms of cost and water treatment. So I think that is also, apart from the commercial and ethical side, that is a good reason to move towards these kind of new processes. But it's not just water that is involved. Look at the saving, moving from traditional printing, hollow cylinder printing, that is the most used technique in the world today still, to digital printing. We save about 57% of electrical power, 97% of chemicals that are needed in the preparation process and the finishing process. As I said, we save about 62% of water in the process, 85% of waste, and 95% of CO2 emissions. And just to mention, our colleagues are working in a much friendlier working environment than before, obviously, given the machinery used. What we're doing, this process is not just confined to digital printing that today has been adopted in other parts of the world too, but we're continuously innovating on, and we're not happy and not satisfied with those reduction percentages. Today, what we're introducing on what we call our evolution platform is a plasma printing preparation process. That means this is a preparation process that allows the fabric to be ready to be sublimated by printing. That is, just printing will be done by, just high temperature, impression. And obviously this completely eliminates the use of water, and it will allow printing also on cellulose fibers like cotton that today cannot be treated by digital printing because of the high temperatures that the digital printing causes on cellulose fibers. So today, all that digital printing that you see is primarily on polyester fabric. So plasma will be the next step. And this is, again, a combination of technology, creativity, and all looking at sustainability. That, again, it's not just something we have to do for the respect that we have towards the environment and the use of resources, but it is also economically viable in terms of a company profile. As I said, with plasma, we will further reduce the consumption of water, and we will save another 75 million liters a year with the plasma technology. And this is just us. We're just a player in the world. We're not just representative of the whole world. So again, direct sublimation will lead to those results. I will not bore you with all the details. But obviously, how do we do this? We cannot do this alone. What we're doing is we're partnering with universities back home in Italy. We're partnering with suppliers, chemical companies that produce the inks that are essential in this process, with startup and research centers around the world. So this is, the kind of collaboration that has helped us develop this kind of technology. Again, what I wanted to say is we're doing this because we think that there's also a social responsibility connected to the companies, especially in terms of global trends. I will spare you because I think everybody can understand the impact of growth of the population, globalization, and what the water problem will be. I think water is going to be the most precious resource, not maybe in the future, I think already as we speak. And this is just to give you an idea. This is what happens to the Aral Sea, what happened between 1977 and 2006. Because of the shrinking due to the excessive use of irrigation water. Excessive, just the use of irrigation water. We can all debate whether it's excessive or not, but that is the result that we're facing today. So on the other hand, I think what is essential to understand is that the world is moving towards synthetic fibers. As I mentioned before, polyester, to produce 1 kilogram of polyester fabric from end to finish, requires 20 liters of water. To produce 1 kilogram of cotton fabric requires 10,000 liters of water from end to finish. So I think these are numbers that should make everybody reflect. And the quality of polyester today is not the traditional one that we were used to maybe 20, 30 years ago. It's extremely, qualitative and, valid fabric as well. These are just some of the indicators that obviously just make sense for people who work directly, or chemists, or who work in the sector. But again, look at the astonishing reduction of the use of water by producing polyester kilogram towards cotton. 95% consumption less water. And I think we all would like to have some water in the future for not just to produce garments. So I think just to give you an idea, because I spoke a lot about this technology, I just want to show it to you if I can, because it's just 2 minutes, and I think it will give the idea, and I think I'm still perfectly in time. But again, as I said, the main thrust of what I'm trying to convey today, if I'm able to, is that all these changes are not just commercially good, because they are responding to customer requests, but they are economically viable, and they are actually economically positive for companies. I have to say, you have to invest up front. So this is just to give you an idea of the sublimation technology. This today can print on transferable paper and can be delivered worldwide. Think of also how much less logistics involved in this process. Instead of transferring fabric, we transfer sublimatic paper that then is sublimated on the fabric or on furniture or whatever is required. So these processes, you can see, don't spill paint all over the place. The environment, the air where people are working, our colleagues are working, is clean. They don't have to wear masks like they should have in the past. And everything is just digitally controlled and monitored. And as I said, you can change the printing while the machine is still in progress. And, you know, as I said, I think one of the great things we had was when we started some years ago to work with third parties. Until then, we used to produce for our own, you know, fashion business. When we started producing for third parties, this made everything a little bit clearer. And now we are voluntarily pushing ourselves to the limit, in the sense that if the limit today are the NGOs that are concerned with the environment, we voluntarily adhere to all these campaigns, particularly the detox campaign launched by Greenpeace. Sometimes thinking of having Greenpeace within the boundaries of your company is not exactly maybe the first thing you would want to do. But we chose to do this, and we adhere to their detox program. And I just want to show you where we are, because that will obviously keep ourselves on our foot, ready to change again. Otherwise, we'll have our worst auditors in the house with us. So we adhere to, is it all right? Thank you. Just want to show you, because I mentioned the results. This is, given the fact that we produce for our company, but for third parties, this is just the textile production part of our business. It's, selling about 150 million euros a year. So as you see, throughout the years, 2009, 2013, the turnover remained more or less stable given the crisis the textile industry went through. That is already quite a positive result, I must say. But look at the EBITDA, or the profitability, without changing anything apart from the technology that we used. I mean, the customer base has remained the same. So even the cost structure has changed dramatically. Obviously, you cannot imagine that throughout these years, prices have gone up, because they haven't. So we haven't been able to charge our customers more in this environment. So everything that has been achieved through more efficiency and through better processes and less use of resources. And I might say waste of resources. And obviously less use of chemicals also in the process. That is also another important component. So as I said, corporate social responsibility programs are the way to keep us there focused on what's changing. And as I said, we just joined recently the detox program of Greenpeace that is extremely stringent in terms of health and safety requirements. And it's important for us because it just does not concern our production in Italy. It concerns also all our sourcing around the world, from China to the Middle East to Africa. From wherever we source, we need to make sure that our sourcing partners comply with this program. So this is the program we signed to, and these are, you see, all, I'll spare you going through every single indicator, but these are all the various KPIs that we've already met and the ones that we've felt that we need to meet over the next months and years. So all I wanted to convey to you is that this kind of process can be implemented economically, and in a way, even if it wouldn't be economically viable, I think it's kind of necessary to take into account the amount of resources that are used in our processes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Winteler. Here in Germany, we have an ongoing discussion about environmental and social standards in textile production. And I couldn't even say where my suit is coming from. I can say what is written inside, but it doesn't mean that it's from Germany. How can you be sure? You are printing, you're producing in Italy. How can you be sure, and can you be responsible? And how deep can you be responsible for the value chain of the products you have to buy before you start printing?
Well, it's interesting because I think all of us are extremely concerned about the value chain and the tracking of the food chain. We all want to know where our food stems from, maybe because we eat it. We're much less concerned, I think, as a general population with regard to where our clothes are made or what we're wearing, what is touching our skin. So what we do is, everything we can right now. First of all, adhering to programs like detox, we get an immediate certification with our partners because they also have to comply with detox programs. So in a way, we use third parties to get that kind of certification. That is even an independent judgment. Then we perform our own audits as well. Sometimes they're formal audits, has to be said. That means please confirm that you comply with these requirements. And sometimes there's inspections. Obviously, we cannot carry out inspections every day, everywhere, but we plan them on a regular basis. So I think this is becoming a big issue. This together with time and proximity are the two biggest issues affecting our industry. I think the low-cost idea of having low-cost suppliers is not the most relevant issue anymore. It was for the last 20 years. Today, I think prices in terms of cost have stabilized. What is becoming distinctive is the capacity to provide on time and the fact that you comply with these kind of regulations. So I think it's not easy to perform, but it's part of normal audit processes and independent valuations. That's what we do.
Thank you.